Few aircraft in history have captured the world's imagination like the Airbus A380, the largest passenger jet ever built. A flying palace of 2 full decks, 4 massive engines, and the smoothest ride in the sky. It was supposed to revolutionize aviation. It was supposed to dominate long-haul travel for decades. And yet, it didn't just fail, it collapsed. Today, we're diving deep into one of aviation's most controversial questions. Did airlines deliberately sabotage the A380? This is the untold story of politics, economics, competition, and a quiet industry shift that destroyed the world's most ambitious aircraft. Let's begin. The dream that shocked the world. January 18, 2005. Toulouse, France. Before a crowd of thousands, including heads of state and airline executives, Airbus unveiled a machine that seemed to defy gravity even while standing still. When the world first saw the A380, the reaction wasn't just surprise, it was genuine shock. This colossal double-decker aircraft was the culmination of a multi-billion-dollar gamble, a project so ambitious it bordered on audacious. It was more than just a new airplane. It was a declaration of intent. Airbus, the European consortium, was making a direct and powerful move to dethrone Boeing's legendary 747, the undisputed queen of the skies, for over 3 decades. The goal was not merely to compete, but to completely reshape the future of international air travel. The A380 was designed to be the flagship of a new era, a symbol of engineering prowess and a bet on a very specific vision of the future. At the core of this vision was the hub-and-spoke model. Airbus looked at the world's increasingly congested airports and saw a simple, elegant solution. Instead of more flights creating more gridlock, the answer was bigger aircraft. The A380 would act as a high-capacity shuttle, ferrying vast numbers of passengers between the world's mega-hubs. Sprawling airports like London Heathrow, Dubai International, Singapore Changi, and LAX. From these central points, passengers would then connect to smaller planes for the final leg of their journey. It was a logical strategy, predicting that passenger demand would continue to concentrate on these major global crossroads. Airbus was betting that efficiency would be found in scale, and there was nothing on Earth that could match the scale of the A380. The sheer passenger capacity was staggering. In a high-density, all-economy configuration, the A380 was certified to carry up to 853 people, a small town in the sky. In practice, most airlines opted for more luxurious, multi-class layouts, seating between 450 and 550 passengers. But this reduced capacity unlocked the A380's true promise: unparalleled passenger comfort. The aircraft's immense interior volume gave airlines a blank canvas. It offered wider seats, expansive galleys for better in-flight service, and premium features that were previously unthinkable. Onboard lounges and bars became a signature marketing tool. First-class passengers could enjoy private suites with full-sized beds and even onboard showers. And for everyone, the A380 delivered the quietest, smoothest cabin ever built, a serene environment that reduced the fatigue of long-haul travel. The message from Airbus, broadcast through every gleaming rivet and sweeping wing, was crystal clear. This is the future of luxury, of efficiency, of air travel itself. But behind the scenes of this spectacular launch, in the planning departments of rival manufacturers and airlines, a very different future was already taking shape. It was a quieter, more disruptive vision, built not on massive hubs, but on flexibility and direct connections. And it was a future that Airbus, in its triumphant moment, was betting heavily against. The silent rise of the twin engines. While Airbus was betting the future on the sheer scale of the A380, a quiet revolution was taking shape across the Atlantic. Boeing was meticulously developing a different kind of aircraft, one built not for size, but for unprecedented efficiency: the 787 Dreamliner. This wasn't just another plane, it was a fundamental rethinking of air travel. Constructed with over 50% composite materials by weight, it was lighter and stronger than its aluminum predecessors. Paired with revolutionary new engines like the General Electric GenX and Rolls-Royce Trent 1000, the Dreamliner promised something radical: extreme fuel efficiency, a massive reduction in emissions, and the ability to fly incredibly long distances. More importantly, it was designed to fly point-to-point, connecting secondary cities directly and bypassing the congested, expensive mega-hubs that the A380 depended on. It was a vision of a more flexible, decentralized, and profitable future for air travel. And airlines, watching their fuel costs soar and profit margins shrink, loved it instantly. A massive wave of orders poured in, making it the fastest-selling wide-body airplane in history. The logic was simple and undeniable. The 787 didn't need 4 engines when 2 could do the job more efficiently. It didn't require special reinforced gates or dual-level jet bridges. It didn't force airports to spend millions upgrading terminals and taxiways. It simply fit everywhere. The operational numbers told a compelling story. While the A380 had a lower cost per seat, every seat was filled, its overall trip cost was astronomically high. The 787, along with its rival the A350, offered a much lower risk proposition, a significantly lower trip cost that could be profitable even with fewer passengers. It could open new routes that would never make sense for a super jumbo, generating revenue where none existed before. It made money easily. That's when the A380's fate quietly started to shift. The rise of the efficient twin-engine jet was a direct challenge to the hub-and-spoke model the A380 was built for. Airline executives, once captivated by the A380's prestige, now looked at it with a colder, more calculated perspective. They saw the gleaming model on the boardroom table and thought, beautiful aircraft, but too big, too expensive, too risky. The nightmare scenario was flying a half-empty A380 at a catastrophic loss. And for the first time, a silent consensus began to form in the industry. Airlines started to avoid the super jumbo, not with public announcements, but with quiet deferrals and a conspicuous lack of new orders. The giant of the skies was becoming a giant liability. Here's a detail many passengers never realized. To operate the A380, airports had to spend shocking amounts of money. Wider taxiways, strengthened runways, new jet bridges, 2-deck boarding gates, bigger parking stands. Most airports simply refused. Many airlines wanted the A380 but were told, "We can't handle it, not without major reconstruction." Suddenly, Airbus's hub-to-hub dream was falling apart. And airlines didn't want to be the ones paying the price. Meanwhile, Boeing's twin-engine strategy was looking better and better. Did Boeing influence the market behind the scenes? This is where things get interesting. There is no public evidence that Boeing directly sabotaged the A380. But the politics and industry strategy around this aircraft are suspicious at times. Boeing aggressively promoted the idea that 4-engine planes were inefficient relics. Their messaging was everywhere. 2 engines are cheaper, 2 engines are simpler, 2 engines are the future. This wasn't just marketing, it shifted the mindset of airline CEOs. Even Airbus later admitted, "We underestimated the speed of the shift towards smaller, long-range jets." Did Boeing manipulate the market? Not in an illegal way, but they absolutely shaped the narrative, and airlines followed. Even if airlines weren't actively sabotaging the A380, its timing was unfortunate. Fuel prices skyrocketed, the global recession hit, demand became unpredictable, and airlines wanted flexibility, not a 500-seat behemoth that needed 90% load factors to break even. Planes like the 787 and later the A350 arrived at exactly the right moment. Suddenly, the A380 didn't just look big, it looked risky. It looked expensive. It looked outdated, even though it was technologically incredible. The tide was turning, and airlines quietly stepped back from the super jumbo. This part is rarely discussed. Some airlines ordered the A380 not because they believed in it, but because they were pressured. Government-owned carriers supported Airbus for political reasons. Some CEOs admitted privately that the aircraft was too large for our routes, but they ordered it anyway. Other airlines placed small orders, just 5 or 8 aircraft, simply to maintain good relationships with Airbus, not to build their strategy around it. In other words, many airlines were never truly committed to the A380. They wanted the prestige, the media attention, the photo ops. But in their long-term planning, they were already shifting to smaller wide bodies. Was this sabotage? Maybe not intentionally, but it absolutely weakened the A380's future from inside. The Emirates problem. Now we reach a critical moment in the story. One airline believed in the A380 completely, Emirates. They didn't just like it, they built their entire business model around it. Their strategy was simple but audacious. Use Dubai's unique geographic position to connect any 2 points on the globe with just one stop. To do this, they needed an aircraft with unparalleled capacity and range, capable of feeding their mega hub with massive waves of passengers. The A380 was the perfect tool for the job. They ordered more than 120 aircraft, dwarfing every other customer. And that became the problem. The A380 was no longer a global aircraft. It became an Emirates aircraft. The entire production line depended on a single airline. Other carriers operating with different point-to-point or multi-hub models simply couldn't justify the A380's economics. For them, the numbers didn't add up. The A380 offered a fantastic cost per seat, but only if you could fill every one of those seats. Its trip cost, the total expense for one flight, was colossal. A smaller, more efficient twin-engine jet like a Boeing 777 or an Airbus A350 had a higher cost per seat, but a much lower overall trip cost, making it far less risky to operate. Airlines also faced the harsh operational reality. The A380's sheer size demanded specialized airport gates, dual-level jet bridges, and wider taxiways. Turnaround times were longer, creating a ripple effect on tight schedules. While the A380 excelled on high-density trunk routes like London to New York or Dubai to Sydney, it struggled on thinner routes where a 787 or A350 could fly profitably. Other airlines preferred the flexibility of smaller wide-bodies, which could serve a wider range of destinations. The A380 was a queen, but she could only hold court in a handful of palaces. This refusal by other carriers to match Emirates' scale created a fatal dependency. Desperate to broaden the plane's appeal, Airbus explored new versions. The most promising was the A380neo, or New Engine Option. The idea was to fit the Super Jumbo with next-generation engines, like Rolls-Royce's proposed Advance or Ultrafan, to drastically improve fuel efficiency. This could have cut operating costs by over 10%, making the aircraft more attractive. But the timeline was a killer. The new engines wouldn't be ready for years, and the cost of the upgrade program would be immense. Airlines weren't willing to wait or invest. Another concept was the A380 freighter. With its massive volume, it seemed like a natural fit for the cargo market. Companies like FedEx and UPS even placed initial orders. However, the design had a critical flaw. The A380's structure was optimized for passenger weight, not the dense, heavy pallets of freight. Its payload capacity was surprisingly limited for its size, making it less efficient than existing cargo planes like the 747 freighter. The orders were eventually canceled. Both the Neo and the freighter were tantalizing what-ifs, but they remained paper planes, unable to solve the program's core issue, a customer base of one. Airbus executives warned privately, if Emirates ever reduces orders, the A380 program will collapse. And that is exactly what happened. When Emirates cut its final order in 2019, citing a shift in its own strategy towards smaller, more efficient aircraft, Airbus had no choice but to end production. The single pillar supporting the entire program had buckle. Some say this was sabotage by rival airlines who feared competing with the A380. Others say it was simply business reality in a world shifting towards fragmentation and efficiency. But one thing is certain, the A380 became a victim of the industry's fear. The fear of going big when everyone else was going small. There was one more hidden problem, the engines. The A380's two engine suppliers, Rolls-Royce and Engine Alliance, often struggled with performance and cost. The engines were powerful, but maintenance was expensive. Airlines complained. Fuel burn wasn't as good as expected. Upgrades were slow. Support was complicated. Meanwhile, the new generation of engines on the 787 and A350 were cheaper, lighter, and far more efficient. This made the A380 look even worse on paper, even for airlines that loved it. Another silent push away from the Super Jumbo. Did airlines sabotage it, or did Airbus misread the future? So after all this, what is the truth? Did airlines sabotage the A380? The answer lies somewhere in the middle. No airline openly attacked it. No one publicly campaigned against it. No one tried to destroy it. But airlines quietly, subtly, consistently chose not to support it. They favored point-to-point travel. They preferred smaller jets. They avoided expensive airport upgrades. They didn't want to depend on a four-engine giant. They didn't sabotage the A380 deliberately. They simply rejected the world Airbus was trying to build. And the A380, as magnificent as it was, became a solution to a problem airlines no longer had. And here's the irony. When the world needed capacity after the pandemic, when 777X delays dragged on for years, when passenger demand surged again, the A380 returned. Airlines that retired it brought it back. British Airways, Lufthansa, Etihad, Singapore, Qatar, all flying it again. Emirates is investing billions into cabin upgrades. And passengers? They love it more than ever. It turns out the world's biggest aircraft wasn't the wrong plane. It was just ahead of its time. The A380 may have stopped production, but its legacy is powerful. It showed what aviation could be when ambition overrides fear. It proved passengers still love comfort and space. And it revealed how fragile the balance is between technology, economics, and airline strategy. Airbus aimed for the stars. Airlines aimed for efficiency, and the A380 was caught in the middle. But nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever replace the feeling of stepping onto a double-deck giant, climbing the curved staircase, and cruising through the sky on the smoothest ride imaginable. The A380 is more than an aircraft. It's a symbol of a future that never arrived, and a reminder that sometimes the world isn't ready for greatness. So, did airlines sabotage the A380? Or did Airbus misread the future? Or maybe a bit of both? One thing is certain, the A380 will be remembered not as a failure, but as a legend. The aircraft that dared to dream bigger than the industry allowed. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into aviation history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think the A380 deserved better?